And there we go then. Welcome back to the show. And it was a decent performance from Scotland tonight in the first half anyway. We'll get to it in the company of Ethan and Reagan in the next hour or so in the game. Get your comments coming in, and it was as I say, decent performance from Scotland tonight in the first half, guys. I think as well that when you go into the Lions den, as it were, you've got to roll your luck, and we've done that tonight. Just in case you don't know the score, I don't know why. But we won 1-0 in the first leg with Scott McTominay with a penalty, and it was nice to see the laser pen never put him off. To put the ball in the net. Guy, as I say, I'm joined by Reagan and Ethan to look back at the 90 minutes tonight. What do you think of that performance? Decent performance, first half.
First half
Reagan,
was very good. First
yeah.
half was very good. They showed a real maturity. They dug in the game. It was a kind of. I was happy with it. Second Africa, I rode a luck, I would say. You'd probably say Greece deserved something for the game, but I thought overall we can't we can't grumble with that. The only disappointment in the night is Portugal getting beat, so we just need to hope that they can do it in the second leg. But I mean, in terms of Scotland, I mean it's just a great result, and I think it just shows you as well the caliber of opposition we are playing and we're going up against. We're beating Greece. I mean, this is a team that have beat some really good nations. And as James McFadden said at the end of the telly there when he was talking to Bobby Madden for a while, it was quite funny near the end. He was saying that Greece have only lost 2 games in the last 4 years at home.
Yeah, something like that.
I
Yeah.
mean, for Scotland to be in amongst that, the Greece have only had four. Greece have had 3 defeats in 4 years at home. I mean, what a record! So fair play to Steve Clark for getting the result. As much as I said it was a boring team selection, the first half he got it right, and yeah, I was happy enough to go in 1-0 up. I wasn't so sure about the penalty, but I'm sure we'll get onto it, Michael.
I think Ethan, I think me and Reagan and maybe you as well. If I can put you into it, we might be in about humble pie tonight because when we saw the team coming out, we weren't so sure, but it paid off in the first half, and the second half, as I said, we had to reg our luck a wee bit.
Yeah, definitely. I think the sort of overcrowding in central midfield, you could call it, with the amount of midfielders we started with, it definitely worked in the first half. I thought, especially the kind of usual three, McTominay, McGinn, and Gilmore, I thought they were brilliant in the first half. Obviously, McTominay gets the goal of the penalty, which, yeah, as you said, I wasn't. Both of you have said I'm not completely sure it was a penalty, but whether it was a clear or obvious error when they gave it, you could argue as well. McTominay steps up, takes it well. And yeah, we did ride our luck a little bit in the second half. They had some chances. That substitute they brought on, the 17-year-old Karetsas, I'm pretty sure he looked very good. I imagine he'll probably start on Sunday because he looked their best attacking threat. But yeah, I wouldn't say there wasn't any point where I thought we're really under the cosh here and Craig Gordon's having to make save after save, but the back four had to stand tall. Ralston made a really good block at the back post to flick onto the post, I think. And Hanley was actually pretty decent. I know he had that moment where we thought he gave away another penalty, but it was lucky it was just outside the area. And I thought, to be honest, Greece were, especially in the first half, they were throwing themselves about quite theatrically. There was a lot of sort of play acting and diving, and it was us that got the penalty, funnily enough. But yeah, a massive win against a team that are not usually beaten at home. Still a job to do at Hampden, but you take confidence into that game. And we also go through, as Dave said in the preview, we had 7 players that were a yellow card away from suspension. None of them get booked. and we've got Ryan Christie coming back as well. So yeah, we're looking strong going into that game. And looking across other games tonight, the likes of Croatia beating France 2-0, and they missed a penalty as well, and that's a team we beat 2 games ago. So sort of shows that the levels aren't, we're not far away from making it as a sort of a really solid team.
Yeah, I mean, and it's no disrespect to people like Scott Brown, Stuart Armstrong, Barry Ferguson, midfielders like that. But when you look at our midfield, these are midfielders that are playing at top European clubs, Bologna, Napoli, and no disrespect to Scott Brown and Darren Fletcher and people like that. But I would say now, guys, we've got a real top midfield. We've
Definitely.
got midfielders that could go for tens of millions.
Yeah, definitely. I think we've got 4 midfielders who are pivotal parts in Champions League quality teams. You've got McGinn, who's Aston Villa's captain. They're in the Champions League quarterfinals. You've got McTominay, who's played a big part. Gilmore's broke into the starting 11 recently for Napoli. They're challenging for the Italian league. And then you've obviously got Ferguson, who's the Bologna captain. So yeah, you've got a lot of quality in there. If we could spread our probably midfield talent across the team, we would do very well. But no, we've definitely got a great midfield, and Steve Clarke probably used it very well tonight. I thought he could have made subs a wee bit earlier in the second half, but we got the result in the end, so it doesn't really matter.
Good evening to Leo. He's watching the show on YouTube, and he says it was a famous statement we used in the show, Regan. 2 different teams, one first half and second half. I think he meant by that Scotland were brilliant in the first half. Again, we had Caleb Brightwell up in the second half as well. Ethan made a good point there, Regan, as well. I can't remember Craig Gordon having any saves to make in that game.
No, I mean, I think he could have got a cigar and a deck chair and enjoyed himself, but the second half, there was a wee kind of flurries where you just thought it was inevitably like a Scottish team going to let you down, but no, they stood for him, and fair play to Grant Hanley. I know I slagged him because he's not been getting game time, but he did okay. And yeah, like I said, I'm just happy with the maturity the squad's shown, because I think we've now moved on to a better level of player, Michael. No disrespect to the players in the past, but like Ethan was saying, we've now got confidence that we can beat Croatia, that we can go to places like Greece and win. I mean, Greece beat England by 3-1 at Wembley. This is not a terrible team.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, just looking at Greece, they had 24 shots, but only 1 on target. So they're just not very accurate at all tonight. We had more shots on target from 8 shots. And I think the other big chance, you'd say, apart from the penalty, was the Billy Gilmore one, where he got slid through from McGinn and he got pushed as he was taking the shot. I don't think that was a penalty as well. But yeah, it's a massive win for Scotland, and one that you take the confidence of this into the next game and the qualifying rounds, where if we win at Hampden, then that sort of gives us the confidence that we've got the beating of Greece. I know it always doesn't work out that way, but and then if it is Portugal or Denmark, you can look at, we've played both of them recently in qualifying. Well, Portugal was in the Nations League, and we obviously got a point at home to them. And then Denmark, we obviously beat in the Euro qualifying, was it?
The Euros, yeah, 2-1.
These are teams that, that they've got quality players, and you expect them to get the knockout of World Cups and Euros. But I think if Scotland have a full strength squad and play to their best capabilities, they can compete with these teams, and that's what we want from Scotland, to push ourselves to the next level.
I think the big thing for the World Cup qualifying, and the reason why I want to avoid Portugal is it's only one team goes through, and also the fact that if you look at the rest of our group, you would expect Portugal to win every game. It's not as if there's another challenger in there that could really do that. But I think if for Scotland and Denmark, it'd be those two kind of fighting, and that's what you sort of want. You want us to go to Hampden and go, right, we've beat Denmark, so as long as we win the rest of our games, we should be okay. Do you know what I mean? But I just think with Portugal's quality, with Ronaldo, with Rafael Leao, with Bruno Fernandes, you know what I mean? They've got so many quality players, and okay, we've got quality players, but the big thing for me is I think Denmark's a kind of aging squad as well. And you look at their strike force, it's not very good. Probably the best striker at the moment is that Fitzgerald that Celtic are looking at, because Holland's not really doing much for Manchester United at the moment. And the midfield's pretty weak. They've got Ericsson, who is not really playing too much at Man United. Obviously, they got Matt O'Reilly, who the three of us know from Celtic, but he's not really playing too much at the moment. So I think in terms of that, you would look, you would just, I think for a genuine possibility of us qualifying, you really want Denmark to get through.
Yeah, that's a fair point to make. I think you definitely look at the teams on paper, and you look at some of the names, Portugal. I mean, some of the players they were bringing off the bench when they played against us, Rafael Leao being brought off the bench. I mean, that's the type of quality we're talking about here with Portugal. Where, as you said, that Denmark are maybe a team that probably deservingly so that they lie at a slight higher level than us, pedigree-wise, in recent times. But I think if you match them up, especially in the midfield, I think you give ourselves a good chance if we play our best and are set up to play at our best.
But then again, Regan, you never know what happens, because obviously we gave Portugal a good game at Hampden as well, and you could maybe argue the toss that Greece is European champions as well, albeit it was a few years ago now, and you would say Greece is a good team, especially in the second half, and obviously we put in a decent performance against Portugal at Hampden. I mean, look at Ronaldo getting round up after the game. So what I'm saying is, it's funny. This has been going on for years as well. That when Scotland comes up against the biggest teams, they race a game. But it used to be in the past that they would struggle against the kind of mediocre teams or the smaller nations in Scotland. So I mean, you never know, especially if I mean, the games at Hampden can come as well if we can get a full house.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fair point you make, but I just, like, as much as I would love to see us get there, I just think their quality on the ball and everything else would just see them through. I mean, even look at one of their midfielders that Harley plays, Jalbalinia, he just signed for, I think it was 80 odd million to Bayern Munich. So,
Yeah.
like, it's just different. It's just different levels. Of course, we can compete, and I get what you and Ethan are saying. But I think if you're looking at a whole qualifying campaign and only one team qualifies, I think the odds will be stacked well against us, because you know as well that Scotland are always prone to draw against a wee Slovakia or Estonia or something like that. You know what I mean? Whereas Portugal would they probably don't even need to play the first team in those games. They could just play kind of mediocre and still win the game.
Yeah.
Ethan, yeah, sorry.
I was just going to say, sorry, Michael. I was just going to say, in the World Cup qualifying, see if we come second, is it another playoff we get?
I think so, but it depends on how the other groups go.
Yeah.
So it's not guaranteed. Not every group will get a playoff.
Yeah, it will be difficult. You just hope with the increased amount of teams in it, that maybe gives us a better chance. But yeah, it'll be difficult whoever we get. But yeah, you'd probably prefer Denmark. but they beat Portugal tonight. So yeah, that's how sometimes it works out. But yeah, I mean, looking at the now with Scotland, I'm just really happy that we got the win tonight. I mean, I didn't expect it from us. I would have taken a draw, and probably based off the balance of the game, a draw would have been a fair result. But yeah, we've got to build on this win now. Hopefully, we win again at Hampden. Hopefully, if we do go through, it's not a sort of holding on and squeaky bum time and all those things. So hopefully, we just not convincingly, but maybe get a wee 1-0 win at Hampden. And that would be.
Well, I'll be quite like a second goal just for the comfort, Ethan. I'd quite like a 2-0.
I think as well, if we look at it to Sunday's game, like Ethan, I think Scotland don't have to go out on the front foot. They can sit in and maybe defend it as well. And then maybe towards the end of the first half, come out and look for that second goal or maybe a third goal. Or maybe I'm just getting carried away with myself because it's late at night. But they don't have to go kind of like gung-ho into the game. They can ease their way into the game, whereas it's the opposite way for Greece. I mean, I think Greece will come at us from the first whistle.
Yeah, that's what they done in the second half. That'll be the sort of only worrying thing, is that we started the second half so slow and they were so dominant in the second half that maybe they carry that momentum to Hampden and they start better, and then if they do get an early goal, then it's difficult for Scotland to sort of get up for it and then go and get the winner. But yeah, I have confidence in this Scotland team. I think Steve Clarke might make a change. I think he'll probably bring Ryan Christie back into the starting lineup. I think usually Christie's one of his sort of trusted men, and I think he's been very good for Bournemouth this season. So I'd imagine Ryan Christie maybe comes in, maybe for Kenny McLean, although I thought Kenny McLean was okay tonight, but I didn't think him and Lewis Ferguson were as much involved as the likes of McGinn, McTominay and Gilmore, but I suppose they are three of our best players. So, yeah.
I mean, I like Kenny and I like Lewis as well, but I feel like sometimes when I watch Kenny especially, a lot of the games kind of pass him by a little bit.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that. I think tonight, like just the counter attack, I thought Shea Adams had a very good game as well. I thought most of our good play in the first half was sort of turning over the ball and counter attacking. I thought some of the sort of intricate play was mostly involving the other midfielders, not McLean. But Steve Clarke trusts him, and he does stuff. He does stuff that Steve Clarke approves of, that maybe we as sitting here, not as Steve Clarke, don't recognise, if you know what I mean. But yeah, I think Ryan Christie will probably come back in. Apart from that, I think he'll probably keep the same team, because I think Adams was positive enough. He done his job, and I think even though we sort of doubted his selection, and probably rightfully so, I think Grant Hanley done enough alongside Souttar. And I think even Ralston had a pretty good game as well. So I think it'll mostly probably be the same team. I just like to see Clarke a wee bit more active with his subs. I thought his subs were a little bit strange in a way. But yeah, I would have liked to see the likes of Lennon Miller come on. But it never happened. So, but maybe it'll happen on Sunday.
Talking about the subs, Regan, he brought Ryan Porteous on as well, and obviously it was, good to see him back. But at the back of your mind, you always remember that game he gets sent off against Germany. But he nearly done it again when he came on. If I was Stevie Clarke, if he's watching this game by the way home, I don't think he's playing Sunday, because obviously you want to protect the league. You want to protect the league at home and the league at home. Sorry, and you can't afford to take any chances, because this is a very important game for Scotland. So
I mean, Porteous is a really good defender. It's just sometimes he's got that little bit of rashness in him. we've
Mm.
seen that when we've watched him at Easter Road against Celtic and Rangers and other rest of the Scottish teams. But he's always got that bit of edge in him where you think he can explode in 1 minute. But I think he is a capable defender. But yeah, I just hope Scott McKenna plays on Sunday because, you know, as much as we're saying all that, Grant Hanley one was outside, but it's yeah again. I thought Grant Hanley done well tonight, but yeah again he could have cost us again.
Yeah, definitely. I think it was clumsy. And at the time, I didn't know it was outside the box, so I was like, "Oh, here we go again with Hanley giving away a silly penalty." But yeah, we fell on the right side of luck there. But I would agree with your points on both your points on Porteous. I think sometimes he has a bit of a hothead, and maybe that's the sort of it's one of the major sort of downfalls in his career is that he's a good defender, but sometimes he defends like he's playing in he's playing from a previous century with some of the tactics he
WWF.
made. Because I think the only two actions I remember him doing was the follow through on the right hand side where he gives away the foul, and then where he gets just caught flat footed and gives away the foul right at the end. It gives Greece a chance to knock it in the box. And maybe that's why he prefers Hanley, because although Hanley can give away a penalty as well, he's maybe a little bit more composed and experienced than Porteous. But I'd agree with Reagan. I would have McKenna alongside Suter if it was up to me. But yeah, we'll see.
One man who did come on in the second half, talking about the subs, Kevin Tierney, Reagan, it's brilliant to see him back.
Yeah, I mean Tierney adds a bit of class, and it's good to see him be back in Scottish football from next season because it's no secret that he's joining Brendan Rodgers and Celtic in the summer. So it's just good to see him back playing, and I think he's a real asset to the Scotland squad.
Yeah, I would agree. I thought it was a good substitution, one you would expect. If you look at the bench, he's the one who you'd say has got the most quality. He went on at left wing, you could call it. Although he played there the other day or the other week for Arsenal in the Champions League. So yeah, and I think Robertson and Tierney are a bit interchangeable. Usually it's Robertson that plays further forward for the national team, but he was keeping the back four, so it was fair enough that Tierney went on. He didn't really do much, but he's a good player to bring off the bench. I don't think Steve Clarke will start him on Sunday, but he could if he's. But I think he would only start if he's changing it to back five, and then doing that, you're almost inviting pressure onto yourself. I think we just go with almost the same team, but just try and bed Christie in because he's. Well, I would say he's a better footballer than Kenny McLean. But that's nothing against Kenny McLean because I thought he was okay tonight and he has put in some good performances for Scotland in the past.
Reagan, I know that we didn't know too much about Greece going into tonight's game, and obviously we spoke to Steven beforehand the game, but were you surprised the way that Greece started the game, or obviously give credit to Scotland? I felt as though they were up for the game from the first whistle. But is that down to Scotland, how they kept them quiet, or
I think it was a lot.
Yeah,
I think it was a little bit of both, to be honest. I expected Greece to be better than they were, considering they beat England at Wembley. They're clearly a good team, but I just thought first half they were very passive. It looked as if they were playing at the beach with their pals. They didn't look as if they were actually interested in winning a game. They looked in a bit like third gear. I don't know. They just didn't have the appetite for the match.
No, I'd agree.
But I was happy that they were pretty bad because it meant that we were good. So I hope they put in that performance again on Sunday, and then we can take advantage of it with the Hampden crowd. Because as Ethan said earlier, if we can get a goal against this green team, then if we get a goal real early, guys, then it's I think it'll be very hard for them to get back in it.
Yeah, I think they were especially defensively, they were very poor in the first half. There was loads of times where there was duels and we just won them, and we just kept winning the ball, and they just didn't pick us up. Especially Adams. There was many times Adams would drift off the wide areas, and nobody was with him. But the second half they did play a lot better. I think they put a lot more bodies in the midfield, and they got on there because McGinn and McTominay a lot of the time, and Gilmore as well, were wanting too many touches on the ball. And they were taking the ball off us quite quickly. So yeah, maybe that was a tactical tweak that the manager made. But yeah, I wasn't really that impressed with any of their players apart from the 17-year-old that came on at halftime. I thought he looked really he looked like their best player, and you can see why the big clubs are linked with him, as the commentary team said. And that Christos Cholis, he's at Club Brugge. He's been a good player this season, but we kept him relatively quiet. As one of the danger men. So yeah, I think we neutralised their main threats pretty well. And yeah, we just need to play a little bit better than we did in the second half, and we should be fine. And then we can look forward to see how we get in League A next time.
Regan, I hate to go back to the point, but I'm going to go back to the point that we were making before the show, and obviously that Greece brought on a 21-year-old as well, but that's what we were talking about, getting young kind of like plug into to the squad, and obviously Skibby Cracks made the co-op well overdue and never got a game tonight, and they might get a game on Sunday because it's at Hampden Park, and we don't know. But I mean, there's other nations like Greece or whatever, Denmark or call it what you will, blending through youth players, 21, 22-year-old, and as I keep saying, and I might think that a broken record, but they've got nothing to fear when they come on. And I mean, the guy, I mean, look at the guy at score game for Spain in the Euros. Was it in the semi-final? Yeah, I mean, he's a young guy, and obviously he's got no fear. You know, he just goes into the game, and okay, you could argue the point, Ethan, as well, and Regan, that you know, we've got nobody coming through the kind of the ranks, but another side of things is like just give them a chance, you know.
Yeah, I would agree with that. That's why I wanted Lennon Miller to get at least a cameo tonight. I thought on maybe another day he could have started the game, but I'd like to see him get on. Johnston obviously got on, but for a minor cameo. But even the 17-year-old Karetsas, I think it was, that came on for Greece was, yeah, I think he changed the game in many ways because he looked pretty unplayable. I know he had a few shots and crosses that went a wee bit wayward, but as you said, he played with no fear, wasn't afraid to try stuff. And you're not going to learn that unless you throw these players in the sort of environment. I don't know much. I didn't know much about that player before the game, but he plays in the Belgian league, and he just got brought on. We've got players like Lennon Miller who play in the Scottish league. They've not had the chance to sort of play at any other level. So the way you're going to learn if they can cope at this level is by playing them.
Is it not really even? I know this is a bad comparison, but is it more a comparison where if you do work experience at school, you need experience to actually build, and you know and that's the same with football as well.
Yeah, exactly. You're never going to learn the capabilities of players unless you play them. And I think everyone can see the players, his Scottish teammates can probably see, his Motherwell teammates can definitely see, and I think everyone who's watched Lennon Miller can see that he's a talented player. He's obviously played very well in games against Rangers and Celtic this season. So why can't he go and play in Greece in a very talented already Scotland midfield? He's going to learn off probably at the moment better players than him, yes. But he's only 18 years old. And when that 17-year-old, I know I keep going back to him, come on at half time, they had 6 players playing that were younger than any of the Scotland players on the pitch, which I think is quite ridiculous. But Steve Clarke obviously values experience more than youth. And it's got as a result tonight, so you can't exactly fault him, but it's always exciting to see young players do well, especially Scottish young players, when you see all these other countries trying out their young players and they're pulling off magnificent things.
Regan, would you agree with that?
I think we need to be more adventurous. We need to trust these players, because it's like anything, Michael. It's like anybody in media and football, anywhere. If you don't get the opportunity to show what you're capable of, then what's the whole point? It's like you can show you're good at media, but if nobody gives you the opportunity, Michael, then how are you going to showcase it?
Yeah, no, and that's the point, Ethan. Obviously, we're talking about football in this kind of show, but you're right in terms of like if you're good at media or good at football, good at tennis or whatever. Well, I mean, if you're good enough, it's back to the old saying again. If you're good enough, you're old enough. Put them in. I mean, I think you guys can name off, Celtic players that actually came through the system. Callum McGregor, James Forrest, I know the rest of it, and Rangers as well,
Yeah, definitely. And I think the problem maybe is if Lennon Miller played for Celtic or Rangers and was turning in the level of performance that he has been, then maybe he would start. But I think
that's a good point. Sorry to cut across you there, right? But that's a good point. That's a good point, Ethan, because I was thinking Graham about this last year, and see when Rawlings Shankland get called up and never got any game time. Well, obviously, he come on as a sub and scored a goal, and he made cameo appearances, and they get called up. But I don't know if you remember, Regan, but I made a point back to Graham there. Guess exactly what you were saying. That if Rawlings Shankland was playing for Rangers, then it would be in that squad. It would be holding down our place in that team.
Yeah, and the other problem with the point that we make is that Rangers and Celtic aren't giving their young players enough chances. So I think there's been the comparison drawn often between Lennon Miller and Bailey Rice because they both sort of came up together. And Bailey Rice, who's obviously at Rangers, was sort of touted as the more talented one. And you look at it now, Bailey Rice can't get a game at Rangers, and Lennon Miller's went on to be one of the best midfielders in the league. So it's difficult because they're not getting the chances at Celtic and Rangers to show off their quality. But then when they go to another team, they're showing the quality, but maybe the Scotland manager's still not respecting them as top players in their league.
And I hate to say this, Regan, and I make this point as well. Do you think it's kind of like that? Again, it's all from fishbowl, and if you're not in that fishbowl, well, nobody kind of notices you as well. And also, do you think it's could do with a bit of snobbery as well?
It's a bit of snobbery, like as Ethan was saying earlier. Like a lot of these countries don't care who you play for, as long as you're good enough to play for them. Then it doesn't really matter. But I think in Scotland we've got a snobbery where we think, oh, this guy's playing for Motherwell, so he can't be good enough to be playing for Scotland. But he is. He's good enough. And it's the same thing when we had Dykes, who was playing for Livingston and QPR and all that. But you think of all the goals that Dyke scored for us against Austria, so many goals in qualifying against all of these top teams, and like you wouldn't say he was the best number 9, but he always got us a goal. He
Yeah,
always done us a turn. So it's not always about getting the fancy names. So be getting somebody that's got a knack for scoring goals.
yeah. And another thing is, I don't know about yours, but if there's an experienced player who's coming to the end of their career who's not giving their best for Scotland anymore, and there's a young player who, okay, maybe they're playing in the Scottish Premiership, and they've not had much experience outside that, I would rather see them get a chance and see what they can offer rather than what we know we've already got, if you know what I mean. Because I think I like Kenny McLean. I'll keep going back to it. I don't have a problem with Kenny McLean starting tonight, but I just would have liked Lennon Miller to get on and get a cameo to sort of build him into the team, so that come the qualifiers, he's going to be a player that you can turn to when there's injuries, when there's suspensions. And the same with Max Johnston as well, because Aaron Hickey and Nathan Patterson, I don't want to be sort of doom and gloom, but they seem like they're pretty. They've not had much luck with injuries so far in their careers, which is not very good. So hopefully they can sort of turn it around and become regulars at the clubs, because they're both two good players. But you don't know what Max Johnston's going to be like until you play him, because it's difficult to sort of compare the Austrian league to the Scottish league. Sturm Graz right back to Celtic's second choice right back. But Ralston was good tonight, so I'm not going to take anything away from him. But you just like these players, 18-year-olds, 21-year-olds, to get the chance. Yeah.
I think as well, even you've got to say fair play to like people like Ralston and Hanley, who have been slagging the first part of the night, because like as much as they are no clearly good enough for Scotland, they're still getting themselves up for it, and they're still, even though they're not playing for the club, they're still managing to put in good performances.
Yeah, definitely. I think in the preview I might have been a little bit harsh on Ralston, because I think he was not too bad in the Nations League campaign. Obviously, he wasn't great at the Euros and was at fault for that goal against Switzerland. But I think it is credit to Ralston and Hanley, because despite the sort of they're not getting game time at their club, and I think Ralston probably accepts that that he's a second choice player at Celtic, but he's still getting the opportunity to play for his country, and I'm guessing that's a chance that he relishes. And in the last few games, he has been pretty good. Same with Hanley. It's just that you would rather Clark's a wee bit more expansive and sort of goes for sort of a wee bit more left field options, because I don't know, it's just more exciting, isn't it? But he got the result tonight, so I can't fault him for it, for the team he chose, because it brought us a positive result. And at the end of the day, that's Steve Clarke's job. We were just sort of thinking what can be the best going forward for the national team. But yeah.
And let's talk about the penalties now, Ethan. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but the Scotland penalty wasn't a penalty, but you would take that all day long. And to be honest with you, the Greece penalty wasn't a penalty either. I mean, obviously we're Scotland fans and we're delighted that he gave a penalty as well. But well, I mean, what did you make of them?
Yeah, I didn't think it was a penalty. But when I first watched that, I thought I was more concerned for McTominay, because I thought he'd sort of rolled his ankle, and he would have to maybe come off. But you see in the replay that he kind of tries to play the ball, and then he kind of already going down, and then the Greece player kind of kicks him. So I think if you were a Greece fan, you'd be raging. But decisions that went against Scotland in the past, the one in the Euros against Hungary, the Stuart Armstrong one comes to mind. So these things sort of, usually I like to say they all balance out, unless you're a St Mirren fan, where they seem to have every decision go against them this season. But yeah, I think we did get a little bit lucky with that. But McTominay steps up and confidently scores. But yeah, on another day, the fine margins, we don't get that penalty. Maybe Hanley's foot is inside the box. That was the sort of fine margins that happened in this game. But we need to be happy that we took a positive result back to Hampden, because I think, as the commentary team discussed, wins against higher ranked nations away from home don't always happen for Scotland. So it's a step in the right direction. Hopefully we can carry the form into the next game and the next 2 games against Greece, because it's going to be a 4-game series.
And I suppose, Reagan, we were just talking about the penalties that wasn't penalties for Scotland tonight, but McTominay had done a brilliant job, even though somebody was shedding a laser pen on him. But he did well to be professional and put the ball in the back of the net. But I mean, it was a brilliant penalty. But what do you think of the penalties? I'll be honest with you, Reagan. I don't think the Scotland penalty. Okay, you would take that all day long, but that was never a penalty.
No, I don't think it was either. But I'll take it if we get one of those in Sunday, then I'll take it. I'll be jumping for joy in my living room. But I think in general, I think we've done really well against higher nations, and it's only good for us to grow in confidence for the future. But I'm just hoping that Portugal can get through, because I tell you something, lads. I mean, if we've got Greece in the World Cup qualifying, so I mean, it's not as if we can really say that they are top opposition. If Scotland play to their capability and we can get Denmark, I would fancy us to get to the World Cup. I really would. And that's how important I see Sunday. As much as, okay, the Scotland game is important for Sunday, right? But I think the thing for me was tonight is to show the players, right, we've just proved we can go to Greece and win. We've proved that. So now that we go into, it's actually really good psychologically, because know that I'm saying that if we'd have got beat by 4 or 5, we'd have thought these guys are really good. But we've proven to everybody that we're a match for this team. We've got nothing to fear, as Michael's been saying all night. And we're also showing that we've got the capabilities to do really well.
Yeah,
I'm not laughing at your comment, by the way, Reagan. I'm laughing at Paul Donaldson. Can't watch the show or listen to the show. Well, watch it back. He's waiting on a train home after watching the game. Paul, you forgot to mention you're waiting on a train on the way home with your kebab, because we were playing Greece tonight. Ethan, I know what the headline will be in one of the newspapers tomorrow. Greece isn't the word. I was waiting to say that all night. Wow.
Yeah, possibly. I'm just happy Scotland got the job done.
Very bad joke, Michael. Very bad joke, mate.
I just skipped over it. But no, I'm happy Scotland got the win, because that's 3 games on the bounce now we've won against teams higher ranked than us. So that's definitely a step in the right direction. You go back 4 games, we got that point against Portugal. So these are no mugs that we're playing against. These are sort of, apart from Greece, who have had a bit of a torrid time recently when it comes to qualifying for tournaments. These are sort of seasoned veterans when it comes to qualifying for the tournaments. So that's what Scotland need to become. I think we've got the quality there. If we can get it all right, if injuries go our way, if luck goes our way, I think we have got enough in the tank. But it is going to be difficult, because Greece, 2 games against them will still be difficult, and Denmark or Portugal they'll still be difficult. But like we done in the last qualifying campaign for the Euros, we built up momentum with some great results against Spain, Norway, and we just the momentum carried through. We had confidence going into every game, even going to Spain away from home. We got that goal chopped off by McTominay, which was a bit unlucky. Spain won the game, and we ran them pretty close. I know we fell off a cliff a bit at the end of the qualifying campaign, but we could be afforded that because we were already through. And then the Nations League, we started a bit poorly, but then we finished it well. So hopefully we've sort of the trough is past us, if that's the right word I'm using, on the graph, and we're on the upwards. Hopefully we time it well so that through the World Cup qualifying campaign we pull off, I wouldn't call it a miracle, but we surprise a few people, and it would be great to go to the World Cup. It would be brilliant. The first World Cup I'd ever see from Scotland. So yeah, that would be brilliant.
Regan, I know you love talking about VAR on the show, and I went 40 minutes without not mentioning it, but I suppose we may speak about it, about the penalties. I was okay, we agree that with Scotland fans, you would take the goal. It wasn't a penalty and all the rest of it. Greece wasn't a penalty either. But how quick was the decisions come out?
Yeah, I mean, I thought for all the moaning about the referee from James McFadden and Liam McLeod about him being kind of card happy, I thought he'd done okay tonight, actually, because as Ethan said, I mean, Greece were rolling about and doing backflips and roly polies quite a few times, so I was just glad that the referee didn't sort of buy into that too much.
Yeah, I would agree. I thought in the first half that was some of the worst sort of play acting. I'm just going to call it diving because a lot of the time it was diving from the Greece players in that first half. Yeah, and he stayed strong, didn't give them any of the fouls that they were trying to buy. And there was one time where I actually thought Scotland might get a yellow card in the first half, because Lewis Ferguson just sort of tried to knock the ball at the Greece goalkeeper's hands by the looks of it. I don't know what he was doing there. But yeah, I thought the referee had a solid game, apart from the penalty, which probably could have went either way. But I think once he's given it, VAR's not going to overturn it, because I wouldn't say that's a clear and obvious error. Maybe in Scotland we would try and overcomplicate something like that and come out with some stupid conclusion. But yeah,
12 minutes aggy going at the end of the game, even.
Yeah, probably. But that just shows that at this level, and usually at the Premier League, I know they don't always get it right, and usually the Champions League and European competitions as well, they are better than Scotland when it comes to the VAR and making correct decisions quickly, and quickly being the key point.
Yeah, no, exactly, Regan. And I think that if you listen and it's give you cracks, me get confidence of what the game, I think he would admit that wasn't the penalty either. But I suppose, like, you know, you can take it as well. That one thing Ethan said at the top of the show, Regan, was we in every alarm we get out there always looks at stats and Scotland had 15 shots at goal, Greece had 17 shots and so many fouls as well. But the bottom line is, just look at your left hand side, or maybe look at your right hand side of your TV screen tonight, and it's Greece 0, Scotland 1.
Yeah, these are the most important things in these games. I always remember Celtic and Barcelona. Nobody cared that Barcelona had 90% possession and so many shots. The most important thing was Celtic won that game. And the same thing when Scotland play against Spain when they beat them 2-0 at Hampden. It's not about Spain had 80% possession and so many chances. It's about Scotland won that game and they were fantastic in doing so.
Yep, I'd agree. Doesn't matter how you get the win. Scotland need to start winning stuff before they start winning stuff in a pleasing manner, if you want to call it that way. I don't really care. We could score the worst set of goals ever in the qualifying campaign, but if we qualify, then I don't think anyone will give. Not gonna swear, but I think you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, we did ride our luck tonight. There's no debating that, but sometimes that's what you need. You look at knockout football, and the cups and the Champions League and the Europa League. There is luck involved as well as skill. And yeah, so yeah.
Regan, I must admit, I like how Ethan gets kind of was going to go in for the full, but then pull back as well. Brilliant job, Ethan. And I think if this show was in France, I think you would get away with that, correct? But I think everybody knew what you were trying to say. If you don't know, well, go back to school. As well, Regan. But I mean, what would Stevie Clarke was saying to the guys after the game, because as it kept coming up in the press conference before the game, and we were talking about as well, it's been a long time since the Scotland squads met up, since November till basically the 20th of March. So it's been a long time, and
I think
no, I was just going to say, Regan, sorry, you wouldn't know that going by the first half performance.
Yeah, I think we're really happy with the fluidity of the team. With the stat you just mentioned, the fact we've no met up since November, I think it is. So I think you'll be very happy with that and saying, look, if that's what we're doing, then it just shows you that the squad's got really good camaraderie. It's a pleasure to watch it, and I think in general, we've got a really good bunch of players. And first of all, we've got a really good bunch of people as well that seem to get along really well together. So that's probably helps them, because Andy Robertson speaks about every time he sees the players. Everybody's really happy to see each other. So I think in general, it's a Scotland squad that are really happy to be around each other, and that can only be a great thing when they're on the pitch together.
And I know that Regan was saying a good team's bond and spirit as well. And I know that sometimes we can well, not us, but people on social media slag off Stevie Clarke, but that's got to come from Stevie Clarke and also Andy Robertson, that kind of like premiership feel to the Scotland team, Ethan.
Yeah, yeah, I think you've got to give Steve Clarke credit. I've not always been the biggest Steve Clarke admirer. I think in the Euro campaigns, although he's got us there, I think he's underperformed. But I think with what he's done in the qualifying campaigns, I think he deserves the chance to have a last go at it, as he's put it. And I think he does play a part in the sort of the squad morale, making sure everyone's happy and getting along. And I think they do that enough, because this Scotland team they've had the lows of the opening game against Germany or Ukraine. They've had the highs of obviously qualifying, beating Spain. So it's a team that's had their ups and downs, and we're bedding in players that are hopefully the younger ones that will be inspired to be part of the first Scotland team in donkey years to actually make it to a World Cup. Yeah, you've got to give credit to Steve Clarke and the players. Your players like Andrew Robertson and John McGinn, who have been there through it all pretty much. Robertson's got the most appearances as a captain, I think I heard, as a Scotland captain, I think I heard the other day. And then you've got players like Craig Gordon, who, yeah, it looks like he's gonna retire, but he always comes back. It seems. I think we'll be talking about Craig Gordon in his 50s at this rate. I think it was his 80th cap tonight. So congratulations to him, and I think it was Grant Hanley's 60th as well, which is maybe a few more than some Scotland fans would like, but still incredible achievement for him.
Definitely me. I mean,
Yeah,
how Grant Hanley's at 60 caps. It still gives me and you hope even that if we can get a wee call in.
yeah.
I mean, that's the thing, Regan, that Craig Gordon, I mean, I'm running out of things to say about the guy because like 2 years ago we thought his career was ending. I think you sent me the picture, or somebody sent me the picture of the game up at Tallardise. I can remember the game well. I think it was Christmas Eve or something. And when you saw it, you thought, "Wow, his career's finished." But he's bounced back, and he's bounced back into the Scotland game. And I don't know if you remember, Rig. I think you said to me that the game before the Euros, did you not come on as a sub with 5 minutes to go? And
Yeah, he did.
Well, that's Craig Gordon's swan song, and
yeah, and he let in 2 goals, but he let in 2 goals with 10 minutes to go. So everybody was thinking, well, that's kind of Craig Gordon saying cheerio, and Steve Clark was even giving him a high five and sort of saying cheerio as well. So just shows you how quickly football can change. But the big thing for me as well is that we've not really got a kind of greatness of goalkeepers. No disrespect to Slicker. I hope he is slick when it comes to in a couple of years because we're needing somebody. But I think in general, he's not really. He's not really. Apart from him, Angus has done okay, but I wouldn't really say he's a top goalkeeper. Liam Kelly, I wouldn't say really top. And then you've obviously got people like Xander Clark and that who are decent goalkeepers for Scottish football, but when I say that they could do really well in qualifying campaigns, I think you need a better level of goalkeeper than possibly a Xander Clark or a Liam Kelly.
Yeah, I would agree.
yeah.
On you go, Michael.
No. I think I was going to go. I was going to say the same as you, Ethan. But about young players coming through the ranks. I mean, it's wonderful to see now that we're doing well, like Lennon Millers and James Wilson at Hearts as well. But we've got nobody coming through, and that's a good point, Regan, that you've meant. I always speak about outfield players, but sometimes I don't know why, but sometimes you always forget about goalkeepers as well. Sorry, Ethan.
All right. Was that quite a yeah, I think definitely. I think goalkeeper sometimes are sort of underrated, sort of in how much of an impact it can have on a team. Obviously, if you have a brilliant defence in front of the goalkeeper, then I would say that's more important than having a brilliant goalkeeper. But sometimes in big matches, you'll need to call on your goalkeeper. We didn't tonight. Craig Gordon had a pretty standard evening. But there will be a time where the goalkeeper will be called into action to make some great saves. And we'll need someone because Craig Gordon's not going to be here forever. And as Regan mentioned, the options behind them aren't exactly jumping out at you, although Angus Gunn did play in our Euros campaign. I think he's injured at the moment. That's probably why he's not selected. But whether he would take...
I don't think he really covered himself in glory in Germany either.
No, he didn't. There was a few games where he was okay, but there was a few moments where he should have done better. But you could argue that for most of the Scotland squad. But yeah, I would be interested to see whether he'll take the number one spot back once he's back in the fold. But he wouldn't be the most convincing option. He wouldn't fill me with the most confidence, I've got to say.
There you go then. So the second leg of Greece against Scotland on Sunday. We'll be on at 3:30 for the build-up for a 5 o'clock kickoff, and something for your diary as well. We'll be on Tuesday night. It's a locker room special on youth football in Scotland. We'll be live at 7:30 for that one. So join us if you can for that one. So that's for all your comments. That's good, Reagan. Thanks to Ethan, and thanks to Dave early on as well for all your comments. And we'll do it all again on Sunday for the second leg of the Scotland-Greece game. It finished tonight in Greece. Greece 0, Scotland 1.
All the build-up and reaction to Scotland in the Nations League.